Hello, everybody, and welcome to Milwaukee Music Lessons. My name is Alex Bennett, and in today's video, we are going to talk about hammer-ons and pull-offs, a very, very common and popular technique, something that offers a little bit more expression, offers a little bit more legato, something that helps eliminate the rigidity of the pick and what the pick does. So we're going to go over that technique, or both of those techniques, briefly, and maybe try and go over some tips and tricks on what you can do to help make this technique just a little bit easier for you. So first off, let me start by demonstrating a hammer-on. A hammer-on sounds something like this. So that's it. That's all a hammer-on is. A hammer-on is basically you're going to be hitting a note beforehand, and then you're going to be following up with it by slamming your finger onto a fret that's higher than the previous note, and you're gonna transition that energy. You're gonna slam it so hard that the energy carries over into the next note. So in this instance, I am playing on the 8th fret of the D string, and I am hammering onto the 10th fret here. And all it really comes down to is two things. One, how hard you can hit the next note. And two, how good of contact you can make with it. So a lot of it comes down to, whether or not you're able to, hit it well and hit it in the center. I want to make sure that when I'm hitting the next note, that I'm hitting it as close to the end of the fret as possible. If I'm hitting it near the bottom of the fret, that's going to be harder. It's going to take more energy to be able to make that note transition properly. And I also want to make sure that, I'm hitting it as much in the center of my finger as possible. If I'm hitting it too far on the edge, or I'm just not making good contact with it, then your hammer-on is not going to sound good. The second half of this technique is the pull-off. The pull-off is essentially a hammer-on, but in reverse. So a hammer-on always goes up in frets, but a pull-off goes down in frets. So in this case, I'll reverse rolls from 10 to 8 on the D string. I'll hit 10, 8 first, and then pull off to 8. So there you have it. That's a pull-off. Now, a pull-off, even though the idea is a hammer-on in reverse, the technique is not necessarily the same in reverse. Just simply lifting your finger fast or lifting your finger harder is not going to allow that kinetic energy to, move, from the higher string or from the higher fret position back down. A pull-off is very well named because in order for you to be able to transfer that energy, you are going to have to actually pluck the string or pull off of the string with your ring finger or with whatever finger that you choose to be transitioning from. So in this case, if I pluck on 10, to get the note sounding good down to 8, I'm going to actually have to some extent pluck this string almost as if I was plucking it like with my right hand. Now here's the thing about a pull-off that a lot of newer players get wrong. You want to make sure that your next note, your next finger is in place before you try and do this pull-off. So you can see that when I'm creating this pull-off, I'm having my finger already on fret 8 where the next note is going to be. So I don't have to move anything once I get from my 10th fret pull off here down. Like I'm not having to, do this kind of back and forth march with my fingers. Instead, what we're getting here is a prepared segments with my pointer finger. So that way, when the time comes to do the pull off, I'm already in position. This is especially important when I'm working in a much faster environment. So if I have to do, for example, a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs back to back rather quickly, just keeping this pointer finger here is going to serve me very, very well. And that's it. That's the gist of a hammer-on and pull-off. You can use these pretty much anywhere on the neck. You can use them on open strings. You can use them higher up, lower down, big E string, little E string. It doesn't matter. I will say that the lower strings are, in my opinion at least, a little bit easier. I feel like transitioning that kinetic energy is easier because the strings are larger and they carry more energy and weight with them, whereas the smaller strings, you have to be much more precise. You have to hit them a lot more dead on. So when you're practicing these for the first time, I'd recommend starting first on the lower strings, giving you something that's a little bit more forgiving, and then as time goes on, start to transition to the smaller strings, your G's, your B's, your little E's, and get good at it from there. So anyways, that'll do it for today's video. My name is Alex Bennett, and I will see you guys in the next one.